Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host Gary Holden. With me as always is head wrestling coach Nate Yetzer. Nate, how's everything going?
It's going great. We're kind of in the middle of a hard training phase right before kind of taper back next week or for next week and next weekend the East Regionals. So we're excited.
You've had a lot of action since our last show on February 2nd. You had the Panther Open. You had two dual meets with UNC-Pembroke and Liberty University. You had the Southeast Wrestling Conference Tournament and everything.
Right.
A lot of wrestling to go over. So let's jump into it. Let's start off with the Panther Open tournament you held here on campus. You had 12 or 13 other teams come to campus and everything. How did that go?
It went really well. I thought it was, it got bigger from last year, a lot bigger. I think we had, 110 kids or something, 107 kids or something like that registered.
And last year you had like 50 or so?
Yeah, around there, probably a little more than that. But it was nice to have a lot of different teams here too, and give us a lot of different looks. And I don't think we wrestled as well as I would have liked, but I think it's a good opportunity for our young guys to get in there and kind of the last competition for a lot of them. You know what I mean? So I think it's important. That's basically their regional tournament. You know what I mean? So I think the guys responded really well. Billy Cooper made the finals, and Jordan Jones made the finals. Both lost in the finals. Jordan was hurt; he couldn't wrestle the finals. And then obviously Andrew Tolbert moved up to 57 and won the tournament. Looked very good. So
now he started off the beginning of the year. I know he was talking about trying to get down to 41.
Right.
Ended up settling on 49, and then he comes and wins this tournament at 57.
Yeah, he's growing. So I think he's still still a baby. So I think who knows how big he can get as long as he does it the right way and commits himself to the weight room. He could be a pretty big kid, and we knew that going in. I didn't think it would happen this fast.
Sure.
But he's doing a good job. So.
I've seen a lot of wrestlers over the years that come in, they can't understand why they're having so much trouble making weight, especially second semester, and you got to tell them, hey, God didn't stop you from growing just because you graduated from high school.
Exactly. So he's a late bloomer. So that's one thing I liked about him coming in. I knew he had a very high ceiling. So he's gonna live in the weight room this spring and. Getting bigger and stronger. So
his finals match in the Panther Open, he wrestled very aggressive, really went after the kid and everything, right from the get-go and everything, and then hung on at the end.
Well, I think he struggled early on. Same thing a lot of our freshmen struggled, just confidence, like being able to transition from high school, which they were in 4 months ago. When they first started to college, it was a different world, and I think a lot of them struggle with the day-to-day, but just the amount of time you have to put in to be successful at this level. And I think now. I think toward the end of the year they started figuring out, hey man, my first year is almost over. I need to keep battling and all that. So I guess when you're starting off in November, it looks like such a long season. But now here we are in almost end of February, and for a lot of them it's done.
It's gone just like that.
Exactly.
It's been a real quick thing. All right, let's talk a little bit about the two dual meets you had sandwiched in there. The Pembroke. UNC-Pembroke, a Division II powerhouse program. Your assistant coach, Daniel Ownby, was a national champ for them twice.
Right.
Strong program. We lost 31-9. What were your thoughts about the final score, the outcome? Did you feel like we wrestled poorly? Well,
we won 3 matches. We didn't look good. I mean, there's no way of sugarcoating it. We didn't look good at all, and the energy level is way down. And I think, to be honest, they're a better team than us. They were a better team than us that day, and they may be a little better than us right now. I mean, I think, what a team, which I thought we were pretty even, they wrestled hard on us that day, and you saw the results. It was ugly.
Halfway through it, we were doing fairly well. We trailed 12-9 after 5 matches.
Right.
So we were still in it, and then, I think it was 6 matches, and then after that, I think the bottom just fell off for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the first 3 matches were key. We had to win the first 3. To give ourselves a shot, and obviously we went 1 and 2. We lost the 2 matches we lost were very close, and we should have won them. But it is what it is. Paul Biggs was dominating the kid. I thought he gave up a takedown or reversal and back points, but then he climbed all the way back, and then he got in a position where he stopped wrestling. The kid took him down, put him on his back, and ended it. So
and Paul had him up in the air, double leg takedown, both feet off the ground, brought him down. The kid went into a funk and just
We really should have won the first 4 weight classes. And then you bring up, then you get into the Meister and Josh Alston, the guys with experience.
Sure.
We ended up winning those 2 matches, obviously, and that opens the dual meet wide up. But we blew it. So
the upper weight classes kind of tailed off a little bit for us there. So
exactly. Yep.
Okay. How about all right? So a couple days later, that was a bitter defeat there. A couple days later, you drive out to Liberty University, the 2-time defending club program national champions and everything. Dominated them 36-6. you had to be pretty pleased with how they bounced back.
I was. I thought we wrestled really well. And then the two matches we lost, we really should have won. We were right in the match, you know what I mean? And but I thought we did a complete 360 or 180, I guess, from Sunday to that day.
Sure.
And I think we trained really hard too. We trained right through the dual meet. I wasn't we weren't going to taper off for that dual meet. And I think the guys saw the results of that. And not worrying about getting overly tired in practice and being fresh. We just got to go out there and battle. And I think our training has changed since that Pembroke match. With a little more sense of urgency in Coach Omby's been running most of the workouts, and it brings a high level of intensity in the room, and I think it's made us tougher, and it's going to pay off down at regionals.
Usually, first-year assistant coaches, their practices are just almost ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's fresh off competing, so
Sure.
I think I think he's still got the. Sometimes the farther away you're further out of competition you are, I think sometimes you maybe lose that intensity of what the kids can actually handle. So it's good to delegate some of the workouts to your young assistants, guys who are they're still high energy, and not that I'm very high energy, but it's good to have a different voice in the room, I think. So
absolutely. Well, so really it was kind of a contrast as well, since you struggled in the upper weight classes versus Pembroke. You came back in the upper weight classes and just dominated. Had scored 3 pins, 4 pins in the match, including 3 in those last 4 weight classes.
Yeah, I mean the guys, all 3 of those guys did a great job, and all 3 of those guys' years have been up and down. They've been inconsistent. Partly the reason is because they're still young. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I think they're starting to find their groove a little bit. I mean, they looked for the most part. The last 10 days looked really good. So it's going to be a matter of them, believing in themselves and believing in their training. So.
Okay, the next competition you had the inaugural Southeast Wrestling Conference.
Yep.
It's made up of 4 teams that are not in a conference overall for wrestling.
Right.
Ferrum, Greensboro, Hampton, Sydney, Southern Virginia. You guys went down there and just pretty much dominated. You won 9 out of the 9 weight classes that you put a wrestler into, and you couldn't be more pleased with that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought going in, we're a little further along in those programs. Obviously, Hampton Sydney's first year, Greensboro's first year, Southern Virginia. They've been around a while, but this is their first year transition to Division III. So I think obviously the expectation was to go down there and dominate and hopefully get 10 champs. But obviously we didn't enter anybody at 41 because of injuries. But I thought our guys looked pretty sharp. And sometimes it's hard to get up because the guys aren't stupid. They know that these are new programs, and sometimes it's hard to keep them on track and to keep them to have the same routine as they would if it's the Pete Wilson or regional tournament or the first year we had the Southeast Wrestling Conference. So, but hey, a win's a win. The guys did their job and they had 9 champs. So
you're looking forward to this being something that will grow in the future? Are there other teams on the
Absolutely.
horizon that might be coming in?
Absolutely. We talked the coaches talked a little bit about how to grow it, and I think first off, Greensboro, Southern Virginia, and Hampton, they're all going to get better. I mean, they're all going to get better. They're going to get good kids. They're all going to making huge strides. I think recruiting and all that. So I think the conference alone is going to get better, and then I think the goal is to add 4 teams next year, at least 3 teams, and I think Huntington College is an obvious fit. They're kind of by themselves down there.
Sure. Down in Alabama.
Yeah, with the University of Ozarks, that could be a possibility.
And where are they out of?
They're Arkansas, and then obviously you have up north you have York, which is a great program, and Elizabethtown is a great program. We both kind of have 3 weeks off for the regional tournament because they have no conference.
They have no conference either.
Exactly. So they're kind of looking around too, and that's something we're going to address going forward and talk to those coaches, see if we can't get them on board. So
would they try to do it a little bit more central, bring it up into Virginia? I mean, Greensboro wasn't very far away for us.
Yeah, I think we'd bounce it around. I think we could kind of bounce around and see who could host it. Because obviously with basketball going on, that's got to work out for both. Greensboro did a phenomenal job. They did an awesome job. I wouldn't mind having it there every year, but obviously. I'm sure Huntington is going to want to have it down there once in a while, and that sort of thing. Especially if Ozarks gets on board,
Sure.
It would make sense to have it down there. And
Yeah.
Every 3 years, maybe just flop it from down south to Pennsylvania down to Virginia.
There'd be some incentive for some of those schools to want to try to host it and everything too.
Absolutely. So I think it's going to get better. It's going to get more challenging, and I'm excited for it. So
good. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of your records. Nate, you've had Did you ever envision that 3 years into your program you'd have this many guys? You have 8 guys right now that have 15 or more wins, 5 guys that have 20 or more, and 2 of you guys actually have 30 wins. Did you ever envision it this early in your career, starting a program, if you could have these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're right on pace to where I thought we would be. You know, I mean, this is, year 3. This is kind of the expectation. The years now, we need to bust through the wall this year, the regionals. We need to get, 3 guys to qualify. We can't just keep getting 1 guy through. The goal is to get 3 this year. My personal goal as a coach, as a team, is to get 3 guys through and at least get our first All-American, at least 1 All-American.
Okay.
And that's right on pace to what, when I sat down and looked at our 3-year plan, our 5-year plan, our 7-year plan, we're right where we need to be for year 3. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the regionals coming up. You're going up to Ferrum hosted it last year. We were able to slip in last year. No one had put in a bid, so we hosted up at the Berglund Center. And this year, Washington Lee University, just up in Lexington, got the bid. So we're kind of fortunate. We're not traveling very far. 2 years ago, you went up to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that was a hike. Yep. And obviously, a couple of those teams in Wilkes-Barre left. Our regional went to another one, and then the whole regional system is going to get revamped next year. So who knows what teams could be on. I got a feeling NYU is going to be out of it. Hunter's going to be out of ours just because of their proximity.
Yeah, they're kind of outliers.
Right. Exactly. So I could envision a lot of the Pittsburgh schools being in our region next year. I mean, that's from what I've talked to a few people. That's what it sounds like it's going to go towards. So, but who knows? But I think it's nice to be close to home and not have traveled that far. And the nice thing is we could take a lot of our guys are going to go watch. And I think it's important, especially with so many. I mean, we're going to lose, 2 guys, possibly 3 guys next year out of lineup. So it's important that the guys behind those, as you're grooming them to be the guys next year, to be able to go there and see it firsthand. Versus wrestling it next year for the first time. Being there and seeing it is so important, I think. So.
And the way the regional works is it's 10 weight classes. There are 3 from each weight class to go, so you've got to go top 3. So that 3rd and 4th place match is just the death match right there. See who's going to go and who's going to stay home. Yeah.
The goal is not to get there. The goal is not to put yourself in that situation. The goal is to make it to the finals. Then there's no stress. You go out there and you can wrestle very open, and I do think. For the right draws, we can get at least 3 guys in the finals. Obviously things got to work, and that's a perfect scenario. Things happen, and there's some surprises and there's some letdowns always. But I think if we wrestle the way we have at every regional, our best tournament the last 2 years have been the regional tournament. That's when we wrestled our best as a team, and I think it's a credit to our training, I guess, and make sure we're peaking at the right time. And this year our schedule was brutal, so I think it really prepared our guys for the end of the year, which is obviously the most important. So
I was looking at the schedule you wrestled, and so many of these teams are nationally ranked. The national rankings are out there, and Logan Meister is ranked number 3 in the country right now at 157 pounds. We don't seem to be ranked as a team. Or at least I couldn't find it everywhere. And it looks as though
we're like one of the polls were 28th.
Okay.
So which is probably considering our loss, the loss we had to Olivet and Pembroke, I think it's probably about right. It's probably where we deserve to be.
Well, it just looks as though in the national rankings, the teams that are in there, I'm looking at all the names, and it's like we've seen them at one of the tournaments.
Right.
We've either seen them at Wheaton, or we saw them at the Monarch Invitational.
I actually got a graph over there. You can see it on my board. That's every team in the country, Division III, and the ones highlighted, the ones we've actually seen this year.
Okay.
And I'd say we can see 90% of them.
That's great.
And that was the goal, to go out and see these other teams and test ourselves. And next year we're going to change our schedule around a little bit and challenge our guys even more. And see. I would love to get an invite to national duels. I think that'd be huge for our program. And next year we should be pretty good. So.
Okay. Well, it's pretty exciting, heading up into the regionals and everything this year. Let's talk a little bit about the change in the format. It went from being a 1-day tournament, which lasted forever last year. Now it's a 2-day tournament. Will they start a little bit later on the first day and then just wrestle?
No, I think because they're only going to have 4 mats. So they had 6 mats previously, and now they're going to have 4.
Okay.
Which I think I like it because I think it kind of makes each match important. You know what I mean? And we only have 4 matches going on. It gives that a feel of being a national tournament. I think
Okay.
So it's going to be spread out a little bit. I think we're still starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday, and then 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Oh, so it's a Saturday, Sunday, not a Friday, Sunday.
No, it's a Saturday, Sunday. Yep. So,
Okay.
And so the finals I think are like 4 o'clock I think on Sunday. And,
Okay.
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great atmosphere. I'm really excited for it. I think hopefully have quite a few guys wrestling that last day.
So fans can contact you if they're looking at getting tickets or looking to make arrangements to go up there, hotels and things?
Exactly, yep.
Okay, great. Well, I guess we'll come back next week. We still got another week before you head there, so we'll come back next week, do another 4-1-1. And with that show, we'll talk a little bit of a kind of a preview, weight class by weight class, of what you got going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
By then, our lineup should be set. We know exactly who's going where, and it'll be a lot of fun. So
it's hard to believe we're rolling towards the end of the season. There are only a couple more shows in the season.
It's exciting stuff.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Nate. We'll talk with you next week, folks. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week. We'll talk a little bit about the regionals. For Nate Yetzer, I'm Gary Holden. Thanks for being with us. Have a great weekend.